So, namaste and welcome to Satsang today. Welcome and a warm welcome as well. If you're new to these teachings, you're very, very welcome here. If you've been around a while, also welcome. And there is no time also, so all good. And today, a subject arose earlier that I thought it might be worth exploring a little bit here in Satsang because it's a major part of our journey where we get stuck for quite some time. And sometimes to see it more clearly is going to help just to let go faster and more easily. And as we know, satsang is for the direct realization of the truth, which is that there's only one being, one formless reality appearing as all of these infinite number of apparent forms, and that being could never be divided, that formless being, even when it appears to be divided into infinite number of forms, it never really is. It's never actually separate at all. There never was any division between me and you, and between you and what you want or don't want, you and others. All of those are mental abstractions on reality and distort reality. These thoughts distort reality when believed to be true. So that we seem to experience a world of lots of other beings and things, and that we're separate entities. And that belief even pervades our awakening. Still, we might feel that we are walking this path. And even if we have seen that we are the formless reality, if we've experienced that, that my or your essence is really something totally different to what we thought, still we might keep a separate sense of self alive within us with its burdens and its apparent responsibilities. We all feel like we have things that we need to achieve as a person. And even this pervades into the latter stages of our awakening. I, as a separate being, feel or felt that I have to clear up my karmic patterns before I can fully live as the self, the infinite formless reality. We might also feel we have responsibilities as parents, responsibilities to our parents, on and on it goes, right? For our job and everything else. It's all focused around this central theme that I am someone, and there's things that I have to make sure happens, and things that I have to make sure don't happen, things I don't want, things I do want. And I want to look today at where that sense of personal responsibility as a separate being hangs out most of all in our awakening journey. Even if we've begun to realize I'm not just this body, I am all bodies, we might find ourselves still coming back to viewing our karmic patterns as separate and belonging to us, the person, the someone. For a long time, I got stuck with this. These are my patterns. I have to transcend them and shift them, and only then can I fully live as who I really am. And this sense of personal responsibility, it's never really true. These karmic patterns don't belong to who we really are. They don't exist in who we really are. They don't exist except as a little wave on the ocean surface of this reality, this formless reality. And a wave being really non-different to the ocean itself, they become a non-event, a non-issue. And it doesn't mean that we ignore them. If we're still feeling really unsafe or really unworthy or very, very limited for any reason, we might still do our contemplation and begin to see that these patterns aren't mine. But if we can begin to see that the anatomy, if we could take the person, the separate being apart and look at it, like to really, like you would take something apart as a child to see what it's made of. We'd see it's made of karmic patterns. It is karmic patterns. The sense of a separate self is only made of its karmic patterns, hopes, fears, doubts, all of that stuff. And in effect, if the separate sense of self is gone, the patterns are gone because they're one and the same. They're not my patterns as a separate being. It's not my fear or my unworthiness, my transcendence, my avoidance, my resistance, in fact, even. No matter how it's playing, whether it's unworthiness is showing up as in our relationships or in our finances or our career, with our family, with our body in some way. If we can recognize this sense that these are mine, my patterns. Sure, everyone else has them too. Everyone else is struggling with their own stuff. But these are mine, and I have to be the one to make sure that they disappear. Is that ever going to be possible then that they disappear if these are my responsibility, the separate person? My meditation, my self-inquiry, my contemplation, my karmic patterns. I'm the one that's been consistent or inconsistent with my practice, my spiritual practice, my resistance. What if it was just one set of karmic patterns, just one, being experienced by every human body, the same karmic patterns, passing through vibration of fear, passing through a body and then moving on to another body and then another body, and it hits a certain body, this fear, and this idea comes, this is mine. Immediately in that idea of mine, there's a closing down and this energy can't keep on traveling, can't keep on moving. What if all the work we do then as a separate being is actually fortifying these patterns instead of releasing them? What if they're only attached to this sense of me as a separate being? You let go of this falls away too. Can there be my patterns without the separate me? And, for me, when I started to realize this, my mind said, well, that's all well and good, but how are they going to disappear if you don't do anything about them? If you don't do some contemplation or self-inquiry? What do I do about this problem that is a reflection of this belief? What if they are not your karma, your patterns? What if karma is universal, belonging to the one being, not to any separate being? It's simply fear, unworthiness, shame, anger, frustration, desperation. It's not mine. It's not yours. You are not resisting anything. There's just resistance in a body. For me, It's a total paradigm shift. If I'm trying to solve these things as a separate being, that is what is sustaining them. My mind said, oh, well, you spent all of these years trying to get rid of these things, and now you're telling me all that work has been for nothing. And that was a bit of I didn't want to admit that. None of my work as a separate being, spiritual work, has accounted to anything. That's not a pleasant thing to really um, digest unless you realize that you've never done it. It's never happened. That's part of the dream. You haven't spent years and years and years in a futile endeavor as a separate being trying to wake up and get rid of its karmic patterns. It literally has not happened. Instead, what has been happening is the infinite self, the formless reality that you really are, has been recognizing itself clearer and clearer and clearer. And somehow you found yourself in this talk looking at this sense of personal responsibility where it hangs on at the last bit of how we sustain the sense of separate being. Is I need to make sure that I get rid of these karmic patterns so that I can fully embody this awakening, my awakening. What if that's already happening? And what if the karmic patterns really aren't the problem in and of themselves? They're just vibrations. But it's really our holding on to them as mine that keeps shutting our energy off from all the help that's available. And this urge to keep things as mine is what's actually perpetuating. If I'm holding on to this sense of a me, a separate me, for any reason at all, even for noble reasons like this, I have to transcend this stuff so that I can fully be myself. What if it's that very thing that's keeping us suffering? Instead, there's an opportunity to realize here it's really been always your real self that's been sitting to meditate and self-inquire and contemplate. We can prove that when we actually look and try to find this separate person, the one that's carrying all this heavy karmic baggage. When it is seen to be non-existent, so is its karma. They're one and the same. And it doesn't mean that immediately our life is going to be free of problems. But it does mean when we see this that the problems that we seem to have will be simply observed and the solutions will simply unfold. And we'll see the problem is the beginning of a solution. The solution is the end of a problem. There's no dividing line between problem and solution. So what are you trying to achieve as a separate being still? Are you trying to ensure your full embodiment of this awakening? I did. And it ensured that I didn't fully embody this awakening. Are we willing to let that go? Our mind says, well, if there's nobody to recognize when freedom has happened, how will I know? And perhaps a better question is, will I actually care if I'm just peaceful? Or maybe it will be self-evident as the self that we really are, the infinite self, the formless reality, recognizes itself. That the me and anything that I think belongs to me are equally unreal, never were. That these karmic patterns go on because the me needs some work to do in order to continue to sustain its imaginary existence. An imaginary being needs imaginary work to do. What do you need to do about that? So noticing this feeling of responsibility, my stuff that I've got to shift. In reality, this infinite formless self is just using all of its bodies to work this stuff out, right? To free itself of all its limiting beliefs and all the individual unique ways it's expressing itself as each one of us. We're like facets or faces on an infinite jewel or a gem in which every place you look, there's a different face or a facet, unique and different to every single other one, but never separate to all the other facets, and certainly never separate to the whole gem. And without any single one of those faces, facets, the whole rest of it wouldn't be. But we look at one tiny facet rather than the whole thing, and we say, my stuff, my karmic pattern. What if everyone is dealing with the same stuff and it's not yours or theirs? What if nobody has suffered more than anyone else? Or if everyone is suffering the same? Or nobody is suffering at all? There's just emotions, contractions, thoughts, all of that stuff. How does it change while you're coming to this satsang? How does it change why you're going to sit and meditate next time? Well, it might be a fundamental shift in your awakening if you really let this into your heart. I'm not meditating or attending satsang to try to get rid of my stuff anymore. I'm meditating or in satsang or whatever we're doing to recognize how free I have always been. And we're so conscientious about our awakening, so devoted to our awakening, that for the longest time we will not let go of this idea that I have to clear my stuff first. Or even after awakening has deepened, after a clear seeing, I still have to manage this process of clearing away all the remnants of the illusion, which also don't exist. If illusion is simply another way that truth can appear, it's all truth, it's all the self. What remains to be done then? The body will feel an emotion. At a certain point in our journey, the hands will begin to write some self-inquiry, or the mouth will speak a contemplation question. Or whatever happens, happens. Or maybe there's an intense, just deep being with that emotion. Whatever happens, it will be completely perfect. So just really imbibing this one thing. There is no me or my. You might have heard that so many times. No separate me, at least. There's a very real infinite you and me, just one. Then looking at where am I holding on to this sense of my? If the separate being is not real, neither is its karmic patterns. They're two sides of a coin, right? Me and my stuff. Me and my stuff. And as they arise within our body next time, or within our experience next time, it's an opportunity then to go, I don't have to go to work on this as a separate being. Let me see what happens as the infinite self when fear arises, or when shame surfaces, or unworthiness, or desperation. I remember the day, I couldn't tell you the date in the calendar, but I remember the day I decided to give up my responsibilities, especially my spiritual responsibilities. And I'm not saying we don't feed our children or we don't go to work. I don't mean on that level, not on the body level. On the spiritual level, I have no work to do. I'm already free. I'm going to prove it again and again in self-inquiry as it happens spontaneously. Surprisingly, that spontaneous, reasonless spiritual practice began to happen daily at the same time, and amazing habits were formed that still can't be broken even to this day. It was not the chaos that the mind had predicted. Why? Because the separate self that thought it was orchestrating, the Helen that was really getting somewhere now in my awakening. Finally, I'm getting somewhere. Had to let that go too. It's not my awakening. It's awakening happening through all these bodies, the one being awakening to its real nature. Here and here and here and here, and popping like popcorn, more and more. Nobody's doing that. It's just happening. And we simply stop slowing it down by believing in this me and my. If there's no separate me, there's no karmic patterns belonging to that me. And there's also no remnants of illusion to clear up afterwards, no effects of a non-existent cause. What does that mean? You run out of money yet again. You do what you can physically to solve that problem on the physical level. But you look at this problem and go, it's a non-existent problem belonging to a non-existent being. If I try to solve this problem, I can't do that without resurrecting this separate self. How does this work from the place of freedom? What is it like from the real self to go through financial difficulties? What happens then? For the longest time, I'd seen the karmic patterns weren't real, but I was still trying to tidy up the effects of those karmic patterns, still trying to pay off my debts. And of course, I paid them off, but there wasn't a me doing it. It happened. And when I paid the last penny, there was a surprising non-event because there was no me to celebrate it had finally achieved. These are not my debts, they're just debts. Whichever way it's playing for you. It's not your illness, it's not your relationship trouble. It's not your problem with your career. It's just what is appearing to be so. The infinite self is really quite astounding that it has an infinite number of ways to experience the same belief that I'm not safe or I'm not good enough or I can't get what I want. An infinite number of ways to experience, even for the same body mind, this belief I'm not safe. It can show up in infinite number of ways. It will go on forever if you keep trying to solve your problems and release your karma. It is that very action, in fact, that's creating this apparent karma. So just an invitation here that when it arises next time, maybe it's arising right now. Maybe you're listening to this and your mind is saying, that's all well and good, but what do I do about this? How do I embody this? There it is right there, right? Can you see it? This is helpful information, but what do I do about it? How do I use this with my fear or my shame? When that very question is going to sustain the sense of separation, can it ever be successful? What if the whole sense of a separate being was built on just four thoughts? The first one, I'm a separate being. And then from that first one, I'm this body and mind only. I'm a separate being. That first thought hangs three more thoughts. I'm not good enough. I can't get what I want, and I'm not safe. You can chop it right at the root. Because from those three that hang are 1,000 thoughts about my awakening, my journey, all of that. Can we simply then approach something when it arises inside with curiosity? What would the infinite self do? I used to ask, what would Christ do with this? Or what would the Buddha do with this? And it shifted everything when something arose. Even if all you get from this is the seeing that the karmic patterns and a separate being are one thing, not two, not me and mine. They are the same. Mine or my stuff is just another word, synonym for the me, the separate me. How many karmic patterns can you have if there's only one being? I said originally there was just one set of karmic patterns. Even that isn't true. If the infinite self is dreaming itself to be a separate, in every mind it dreams itself to be uniquely separate, then all the karma that seems to come from there is also untrue. As untrue as the separation is. The doorway to freedom right here, right now. My life switched from an endless journey towards a destination that never arrives to simply watching these things arise and watching them resolve. Sometimes nothing would happen at all. Sometimes some self-inquiry would arise spontaneously, or some meditation, or something else. But it worked itself all out. Okay, I will stop talking, going on forever. I get pretty passionate about this stuff. Hopefully, we can see the shortcut and work with it. Okay, we'll go to Elaine. If anyone else has questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Hi, Elaine. You're mute. There we go. Wonderful.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Or good evening. So I'm not sure, maybe I'm just looking for confirmation. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just happy to be able to be with you here. I sat with someone in hospice last night, and we were having a very sweet time. We were holding hands. She's in bed. She's a very old woman. She's lovely. I'm totally in love with her. And her pain medication wore off. And suddenly her face is horribly contorted. And she's in quite a lot of pain. And the nurse had come in and given her her dose of pain medication, which seemed to take forever to work. And I felt at first I contracted with her. I totally contracted with her, and I realized, whoa, that's not helpful. But it was only this morning that I realized I was seeing a person in pain
Mm.
and reacting to a person in pain and feeling quite helpless because there's nothing to do except wait for that medicine to work. And and eventually it did, but it was not easy. It came and went, and since I had been there for 2 hours, at some point when she seemed open, I hugged her. She hugged me, and I said, "I'm going to go. Maybe it's best if I go now."
Mm.
She didn't fight me or anything about it, so I think it was the right thing to do. Anyway, the point is, I felt I felt something, and the rest of the evening essentially was very like low energy. Like I had a few, maybe a couple of hours. Really, what I wanted to do was go to sleep. I just wanted to come home and go to sleep. Um, so the idea of compassion, it wasn't compassion. I don't know how to be with distress, with physical pain, with emotional pain. I don't know how to be best be of service in the presence of. It could be my daughter, it could be this woman
Anyone,
who,
literally anyone.
anyone,
Yeah.
literally anyone, absolutely. So that, I think that's maybe the essential.
Do you need to know?
Oh,
Because perhaps it wasn't the situation that lowered your energy. Maybe it was the sense that there is a right way here to go through this very difficult situation. And last night I didn't get it. I didn't know what that was. And maybe could have helped her more if I had found the right thing, something like that.
I don't think I could have done anything to really help her. Her eyes were closed. She didn't know what I was doing. I mean, of course, energetically, we feel one another,
What could you be, though, that could
right?
help her rather than do? What could you be?
Just the loving presence that I am as the infinite self.
And if that involves you falling apart in the
Oh,
middle of it,
wow.
so be it, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you've had this image of what it is to do your job.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that must be like, but
Yeah. Okay.
there is a right way and a wrong way or a preferred way, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting you burst out into tears every time someone is in distress, but that response inside and then the seeing that happened afterwards was totally appropriate, wasn't it? Totally how it was meant to be. I can see that I'm reacting to this from a sense of separation
Yes.
and then just shifting into what is it like to just completely let go of all strategy inside. Your body will do whatever, like the hug, but what is it like to go or be with this person, be with many people dying if or any situation at all,
Yeah.
anyone suffering, if I don't know what to do?
That's that's very helpful. I don't need to know. So,
Maybe it will be different every single time. And maybe
right.
you've already experienced that, right? With every person, it's different. And it's only this sense there's something I should know what to do here. I should know how to be here. And awakening took me through these situations in my life where I really thought I should know how to be. When something very traumatic had just happened, I should only be peaceful. I shouldn't feel anything inside. I was like, well, actually, I'm feeling a lot and peace. Okay, well, maybe some image of awakening has been destroyed in that. At a funeral, how should I be at a funeral as awakening deepens? I don't know. It is as it is. And I ended up crying all the way through one funeral because I recognized there was a sense I shouldn't be doing that or feeling that. And it showed me it destroyed every single one of my ideas about how it should be, what it should look like, to really just be here as my real self. And here's an opportunity for you also, right? I
Yeah.
no idea. No idea.
I'm a little confused about the body. I apparently animate this particular Elaine-ness, this body.
And all other bodies.
That's the part that confuses me. When someone is feeling something, apparently feeling something, I don't feel what they're, if someone,
You do. You feel everything. You're the infinite feeler, but you can't feel it in that body, only in the other body. A feeling, a sensation is a localized experience. If there
okay.
was fear in here, for example, as your real nature, you're everywhere experiencing everything. But then we can't translate that everything that everybody is experiencing into a local thing here and experience.
So
Experience
there's
is
never
only,
anything to do. I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, exactly.
There's
No,
never anything to do,
no.
ever, ever, ever,
How could
ever.
there be? How could you do
Don't know.
anything? Yeah.
Well, you said, I wrote it down because it was very, it just, you said, it's just a resistance in the in, you said in a body. It's just a resistance in a body. I can't remember what that was about, but you said it just before we did this.
If you look at what actually happened last night, there were two bodies sitting in a room, well, one in a bed, one sitting in a chair, probably. In one, great physical pain arose, and also desire for that pain to go. In the other, a desire for that pain to go also arose. And then also, you came in as the nurse that gave the medication. All of it, right? It all gets done with all of the bodies. The same desire arises, of course, that in both bodies and in the nurse, that we not be in physical pain, not be an unbearable physical pain. And the same desire for a smoother transition out of the body as is possible. Also,
Hmm.
of course, you probably felt that many times as you're sitting with people,
Yeah.
and or every time. But the difference with that body is that desire, whatever desire arises in that moment, might have more of a chance of manifesting now.
Say that again.
That desire, perhaps, for someone to have a smooth and easy transition out of the body,
Yeah.
for the last breath to be relaxed and peaceful, even joyful, maybe.
Yeah.
It's happening in every human body as it takes its last breath. But in a body that's really free of thoughts, that has an opportunity to arise and influence, to manifest and influence the in other bodies around you.
So everything that's happening everywhere is essentially something. Is it so that I can fully or deepen in my in awakening? Everything is happening for me.
Yeah,
This body mind that doesn't
for
that feels
me,
like,
but not for the body mind. You are
but
not
not
the
for the
body mind. You're all body minds, right? If we look at our experience all the time, it becomes very simple. We experience something we do not like, and then we have an opportunity to think about what we do want and do uh, desire to happen. And in most human bodies, that desire cannot manifest because it's still lost in illusion and it has many beliefs. I can't get what I want, or I'm not safe, I'm not good enough. So as you go around your life now, you're going to notice these powerful desires arising. Another reason why the energy was so low and you were so tired, because this desire is being suppressed. It takes a lot to suppress a desire. And is I'm sitting talking here, and every satsang and every class and everything, the desire arises for all beings to see who they are easily, effortlessly, and joyfully, right? Why does it have to be a hard, long, drawn out process? And at first there was a sense of that's not going to happen. Everyone goes through their own journey. But then I remembered who I was and who the I is that wants that. And it's a very different thing then. Very
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah.
So remembering
Beautiful.
who you really are, and when that desire arises, it feels very different. What if one of the major purposes for the body's existence then is to just experience what we experience, but turn towards what we do want, having seen what we don't want? The best way to do that is to be um, to be the not knowing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in any moment or not do or any of that stuff. And when a desire arises, I will completely be with it because it is what is in that moment.
Thank you.
What if you've been touching every life with this ability to be with what is? I can't think of anyone I would like sat next to me when I'm about to leave this body than someone who can just fully not know what this moment is supposed to look like, whether it's a graceful exit or the opposite, very difficult. This is how it is, right? That's a huge gift for that person that's leaving.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. We'll go to Mitra.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, love.
Um, it's been nearly a month that I'm going through a lot of stuff that just listening to you today, they're not mine, but they've been happening in this body and mind, like a lot of overwhelm and then severe anxiety and fear and restlessness and uncomfortable. And so, and I ask a few questions from you on the WhatsApp, couple of questions, and every time I ask the question the next day or a couple of days later, I thought, but no, it wasn't, it's not that, it's probably something else. And it's been so confusing. So basically there nothing really happened in my life. It just they all coming up. And
Why do you
then
think they're coming up? Why do you think they're all coming up now?
I don't know, but when you mentioned when I stopped practicing, like I had to stop, like I couldn't practice. And you said that maybe your motivation about the practice is changing. And and then when I heard your satsang in the company of truth, I thought maybe, I'm not sure really why all this happening. It's very confusing. I don't know what's happening really. But I
Is that a
thought
bad,
maybe the,
is that a bad,
sorry?
is it a bad thing to not know why it's happening, to be confused?
Well, it was, yeah, it was very uncomfortable, but I really, the only thing I could do, I couldn't do any practice. The only thing I could do is just to sit and feel confused and uncomfortable
That
and
is practice.
restless.
That is practice.
Yeah,
That's authenticity.
yeah,
If I'm confused, I'll be confused. I won't try to alter that at all. If I'm restless, I'll be restless. If I'm overwhelmed, I'll be overwhelmed. What's actually happening here is awakening is really beginning to blossom. And you find that you can't argue with what is. And the mind will say that's a terrible thing. If I'm sad, I'm just going to be sad all day. I can't do anything about it. But actually, it really is a different way just to be with anything. I can't find a strategy of what to do with this anymore. It's just, I don't have access to it anymore because that sense of someone that would have all these tools stored up is disappearing. It's falling away, right? What do I do then when something arises? I don't know. I just don't know. And that is something very different if we can relax into it instead of the usual way, which is now I'll try this and then this and then this. And if usually this thing works, if nothing else has, you know? What does it feel like right now, just right now, to be whatever you are right now? If you're confused or frustrated, if the mind is saying this conversation is supposed to fix it and it isn't doing, whatever the mind is saying, whatever the body's feeling, what is it like to just be with that, to just be that? What does it feel like?
And I allow myself actually to be like that, uncomfortable, it's better.
Not so uncomfortable
Yeah,
and eventually very comfortable.
yeah.
So it's not what's happening in our lives that's uncomfortable or even what's going on in our spiritual practice. It's this idea that I should know what to do with this.
Yes.
I don't know anything. I am totally clueless. If some fear were to arise right now, I'd be like, what do I do with this? But it wouldn't be like it used to be. The mind would say, what do I do with this? And it would come with such a heavy vibration. I should know. What do I do with this? What do I do with it? What, quick, quick, what do I do? Now, now it's like, what do I do with this? Let's see what happens. You know, because there's a knowing, all you have left at the end is authenticity. All you have is authenticity. I am what I am in this moment. I'm appearing as fear and confusion or whatever's going on. And I don't have any toolkit that I'm bringing with me, you know, my separate person toolkit. I'm going to do meditation. Meditation might happen just being with this thing. It's just confusion, and then I recognize I'm aware of it. Confusion, and then there's awareness, seeing it. Frustration, then there's awareness, seeing it. Lack of practice, awareness, seeing it. Practice begins to happen, awareness, seeing it. Your whole life is a meditation now. Just feeling
Yeah,
it now. What is it like?
yeah.
What is it like now to have no strategy at all?
It's not like really the issue for me is not anymore feeling uncomfortable or restless, to be honest. It's one thing is that I just go like, how can I use this to wake up? This is my gateway. I want to wake up. Doesn't matter how uncomfortable, restless, anxious, I don't know, fearful I am. I just want to wake up. How can I use this to wake up? You know, every single thing in life becomes a tool that I want to wake up. You know, I'm just
What if there's
really sick
no
of this
way?
seeker.
What if there's no way not to use this? What if being who you are is automatic guarantee that everything is used, everything is taken into your awakening? That even this question, how do I use this to deepen my seeing? Even this can fall away now. You've worked consistently with the tools, and now you're at this point where even this strategy needs to fall. It will just happen, right?
But this is where my question is, Helen, to be honest, is my question is actually this, and I know what you're gonna say, but but I want to still ask it.
I don't know
You
what
know,
I'm
it's
going to
been
say. How can you know what I'm going to say? I'm just being
You
silly.
know,
Carry on, sorry.
because you said that before to me, but um, I want to say that honestly, it's been only 5 years for me. Like I can't do any practice basically. Like I'm to that point that I just can't do, and I've been very attached to my practice, 2 hours of practice every day. And it's been only 5 years I'm into this. And the first 2 years I couldn't even practice because I was so in dark nights and I didn't know what is going on.
Mm.
But then the next 3 years I've developed all this. And I didn't, for someone like me that took the 4 years out of that 5 years, I had no idea what presence is, what is awareness. I just had no clue what you guys talk about, like the teachers I was listening. And I've been listening to audio Shanti.
I think we might have lost you. Yep. It looks like, can you hear us? Can you hear me? Maybe the infinite self has realized all it needs to realize and the connection dropped. Okay, that seems like a very good place to leave this satsang for today. Enough has been said, apparently. So says the internet.
Sorry, Helen, I'm here. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened to internet.
That's okay.
Just when I wanted to ask this question. So
Can you ask it
because
without the story? Can you ask it without?
because so my question is, this is very new for me, like this sense of awareness, presence. It hasn't been developed enough that I go
You want me
and
to
leave the
tell you the
seeker.
truth, or do you want me to make you feel better?
Tell me the truth, please.
Then what you're saying right now is not true. This awareness is not new to you. You are older than time itself. You are eternal awareness.
But
You
if I
haven't been on
drop the
this path for
seeker,
5 years either. None of us have. That is also fiction.
but I'm worried that if I drop the seeker, if I don't practice, then even this little bit of sense of awareness and presence that I developed, I'm gonna lose it.
You
I mean,
didn't
I haven't
develop
really
it.
developed.
You didn't develop it. You can't drop the seeker because it's not really there. All of this is the last stories of a non-existent being, right? Is what you're saying now true as who you really are? Can you go backwards and lose what you think you've gained? What you think you've gained? This isn't the progress of someone moving towards awakening. This is the recognition that awareness was always here and it's starting to recognize itself more and more clearly. That none of the things we think we've done, whether it seems to be in 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 decades, 5 lifetimes, all equally untrue. None of us have been on the path. We are the path. We are it. And life is asking you, awakening is now asking you to drop these ideas. You know, it was so tempting for me after 25 imagined years of seeking and then finally finding, in a sense of achievement, finally I've done it. Finally I've broken free and woken up to the truth. Then I realized I had to drop that also, and it was so like, no, I want to keep this story. I finally made it. It's equally untrue, though. Nothing has happened to me or you. You don't need to be ready for this. It's not like 5 years isn't long enough. Even being ready for it, ripe for it, all of that. That's happening in the manifestation. You are that, and you always have been. You might as well admit it.
So if I admit, but I don't do any practice, how can this be developed?
You can't do or not do. Practice will happen all by itself, just as it does for me. I had the same thing. If I stop thinking I'm a separate self, what's going to motivate my practice? Will I slide backwards? But I had to finally realize that that really isn't, I wasn't making any progress or even sliding backwards. The body and mind was simply reflecting more and more the clearer and clearer seeing. That's all that's happened. And that can never slide backwards because there is no one achieving that. Whether you admit the truth about yourself or you don't, awakening is going to continue anyway, just as it always has been doing, and now it's reaching a real momentum. What does it matter whether you even admit it or not? But just don't tell lies. Don't say, I've been on this path for 5 years. Not true, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true. I agree. But I have trouble accepting that I don't not need to do. I mean, I said, okay, let's just
The
stop all the
idea,
practices.
only being asked to let go of the idea that you're doing the practice, not the actual practice. That's always been. Incredible as it seems, all the meditation, contemplation, and self-inquiry that you've ever done has happened spontaneously by itself for no reason and no purpose. As a reflection of the infinite awareness recognizing itself. And you're only being asked to give up this idea that you, as a separate being, have been orchestrating that. You're not actually being asked to give up practice. That's a very different thing, isn't it?
Okay, so if you think if I drop the idea that of the separate person doing this, I will be able to go back to my practices.
Practice will happen by itself. For me, it stopped for about a week while I really had to admit I wasn't making it happen. It had to stop to show me I, as a separate being, wasn't making the practice happen. If I was making it happen as a person, I would have still done it, but it stopped despite my best attempts to do it. It stopped completely. And there was nothing I could do to restart my practice. And that really showed me something. And eventually I was like, we'll just sit here and see if it starts again. And it just started again. And I was finally willing to admit it wasn't happening because of a separate being making it happen. And it became consistent practice, effortless practice, joyful, and then eventually really blissful. If you were making this practice happen, you'd be doing it right now. You wouldn't be asking this question, right?
Yeah.
The fact that it stopped is evidence that you were never controlling it. Not in the way we think, anyway.
It's nearly 2 weeks that I can't practice.
Maybe it'll be 2 months, maybe it'll be 2 years.
God, that's gonna kill me. I really have to
Is it?
wake up.
Is it?
I have to wake up. I
See, when I say that,
this
it
for
shows you the
another year.
stories that you're believing. You're still telling me you have to wake up.
Oh yeah.
So my suggestion would be to sit with a pen and paper and to just ask, what if practice never happens again? And watch all the mind tell you all the stories of all the doom and gloom that's going to happen. And you see, is that applicable to who I really am? And as I did that, it just started by itself. If If you're not making it happen as a separate being, your spiritual practice, if you've never meditated, meditation just happened. Why should it stop or start? It's just what's happening. It only had to stop to prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're not making it happen as a person. That's the only reason.
Thank you so much, Helen, for
Thank
being
you.
so
Thank God
patient
for
with
letting
me.
us finish our conversation. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of love. Thank
Thank
you.
you. It's everyone's question, isn't it? It is everyone's question. Both these questions that have been asked today. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now we will really leave it there for today. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Namaste.